about mail?
Yeah, so the question about, we're introducing features around email archiving that allow you not to back up the PSTs on the server, but get rid of the PSTs and move them back to the server.
Okay.
I'll even show that. Cool. So you want to see some demos?
Yes, we do.
All right. So it's always tough to be with Microsoft presentations, right? Because there's a lot of slides. So let's show some demos. So the first area is flexible and reliable, and we kind of talked about this already. So one of the first things I want to show you is delegate administration. You were kind of on the fence whether or not you'd want to delegate some of these capabilities to your users. All right. Let's see if we can, in fact, change that opinion. So right here, I've got my little virtual machine environment, and it's 2 servers. And I don't seem to be able to get this all in screen for some reason. So out of the 2 servers, one is running AD and all the Exchange 2010 stack, and the other one is running Office Communications Server, because we've also done some neat integration work, particularly in the web client with OCS. And one of the first things I'm going to do here is I'm going to log into our Contoso universe, probably very familiar demo name. And at this point, I'm going to log in as Tomas Navarro. And Tomas is an IT administrator. So try not to be too distracted by this right now. We'll talk about this new look and feel to Outlook web app in just a moment. But one of the first things I wanted to show you is I'm going to go over to the options and bring you into what we now call the Exchange control panel. So OA options, or Outlook web app options, is probably very familiar. How many of you use Outlook web app, or actually Outlook web access? So you know you can go in there and you can change things like my out of office, or you can configure little basic things. But what I want to call your attention to is this little drop-down menu here that says I can manage things about myself or my organization. And this is where the new Exchange control panel comes in and provides web-based management for a lot of common tasks. Now, this does not replace the Exchange Management Console, which is our MMC application, and I still have up and running here, nor does it replace PowerShell. This is a complementary tool that's really good to be able to delegate certain responsibilities to non-full-time Exchange administrators. You don't have to deploy all the tools. You don't have to give them all the fancy PowerShell stuff. You can give them a fairly easy-to-use interface. And as the administrator, not surprisingly, Tomas has access to a whole bunch of different capabilities, groups management, recipients management. But look, take a look at this. We have this administrative roles, and then right next to it, we have this user roles. Now, the first area we're going to take a look at is administrative roles. Now, administrative roles are an application or a use of our new role-based access control model. Everything in Exchange can effectively be ACLed down to allow you to provide very fine-grained control to the different tasks that can be performed. What does that mean? All the PowerShell commandlets, you can basically control who has access to them and what scope of access they have and which tasks they can run. We, out of the box, give you a whole bunch of these already configured, which are called role groups. We take a collection of different PowerShell commands, and really everything in Exchange ultimately becomes a PowerShell command. So even if you do it here or in the Exchange Management Console, it's ultimately PowerShell at the bottom. So here's one right here. We talked about help desk before. I'm sorry, your name was? That's right. Patrick. So we had your help desk folks. We can just give members of this role group the ability to look at user options, and this is an ability for the administrators to go in and literally, right from here, connect to another user's account, look at their Outlook web app options, and help them. Say, for example, Ken's on the road. He calls up and says, I don't know why every time I get a mail from Steven, it gets deleted. And I can log in as the help desk administrator, look at Ken's configuration and see, oh, you've actually created an inbox rule that you meant to put all of Steven's mails in the junk mail folder, and instead you're putting them into the deleted items folder. And right from there, the help desk person can make that quick fix or talk the person who's having the problem through that process. There's no extra remoting software. You don't have to do anything like trying to imagine what the user is seeing. And the problem step recorder is great, but if you can't send email, perhaps that makes it more challenging to even get the problem step recorder results. Or say they're on a kiosk. Say they're on a Linux kiosk at an airport. How can you do that? And then the other thing was view only recipients. So if we open up one of these, you can see right here that here are the assigned roles. We can very easily add another user or users to this role. So say, for example, Aaron Lee will now have this capability. And just like that, we've now delegated the capability, the tasks within this role group to Aaron Lee. And just like that, we can take it away as well. Another common one, particularly around in the United States and maybe the same here over in Europe, is around conducting mailbox searches for compliance, for audit, for regulatory purposes, personnel purposes. Previously, that would require you to have that person from the legal department or audit department send you a request. You'd have to run the request as the administrator, export it, send them the results, and of course there was always something that needed to be done again, back and forth, back and forth. It could be very challenging, right? So now you can delegate these capabilities to a specialist user. In this case, Arlene is a specialist user. She's just a compliance officer. She has no other administrative rights, and she can only do these administrative tasks. Nothing else will work. In fact, you see here, we can even scope where she can search. Say for privacy purposes, you only want this compliance officer in Germany to be able to search within the German OU, and then within the Netherlands, only within there. Or even if it's one office, like the Amsterdam office versus another office in Holland, you're able to have all this administrative scope. All this fine-tuning you would do through PowerShell commands, but you'll find out of the box you've got a lot to work with, and of course, it is something that you would probably configure maybe once or twice in PowerShell and then use a user interface like this to do the assignment. User roles. This is another cool one I really like. Here's a chance for you to give, if you decide, these are all optional, you don't have to do this, you can decide to give your users some ability to change things about themselves. So, for example, you may want to allow your users to update information in the directory, which may have before been a help desk call, right? And probably not very exciting to go in and do directory updates. So you can choose to allow them, for example, to update their mobile phone number or their address. You can even say you want to give them the ability to change their name. I know Ken's wanted to change his name to Rockstar for quite some time. We've unselected that in his profile to help prevent him from that. But you may choose that if someone gets married or someone decides to, for example, Microsoft, being 90,000 employees, it's very possible that there could be 5 Dave Smiths. So we have a convention where, if you're Dave Smith in Xbox, you're Dave Smith, and in parentheses, Xbox, and so on and so forth. So you can allow your users to change that. You had a question?
Yeah, will this be directly replicated in Active Directory?
So this is Active Directory.
Yeah, right.
So everything underneath is Active Directory. So your question about do these changes get replicated? Absolutely.
The recipient's bin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So another new thing we're able to do here is we're able to give you the ability to let your users create their own distribution groups. How many would like to have had that capability, allow your users to create distribution? Okay, it works now. So let me show you something here. So right now, the default user policy says no distribution groups, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in as another user. And this time, I'm going to do so in this other browser. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this one. Has anyone ever tried to log in Outlook web app on a non-IE browser? Yes. Great experience, right? Very simple, very easy to use.